Hello everyone, happy Friday. Today may be the end of the work week and it's certainly not the end of our spiritual practice. Since we only began on Tuesday, today is our fourth day and today is the law of detachment. Today's law goes hand in hand with yesterday's practice, which was the law of intention and desire. So hopefully everybody had an opportunity to be with themselves, sit down and identify what's most important, what are the things that we most want to accomplish, what are the things that we most want to experience, and put them down on paper. Today is the day that we turn it around and we say, here you go, universe, here's my order, this is what I want to co-create, I need your help. And today, practicing the law of detachment means just that. We're turning it over, we're detached from it all, and we're going to allow the universe to do the universe's thing. So, to me, this law takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of courage because we have to believe, we have to have faith, we need to trust that everything is going to happen and it's a divine order. Our job is done with regard to the co-creation. We did that yesterday. We set the trajectory. We put the order in. We said this is what we want to experience and bring about. And now we turn it all over. We surrender to the universe. Everything in life has a gestation period. As we go through life and we become more proficient in practicing the law of detachment, we'll begin to understand that the things that we set in motion are going to happen and come to materialize and manifest in our lives in its own divine order. The law of gestation really speaks to there's a beginning of the process and there's an end of the process. There's a time where we set things in motion, and that period of time that it takes from the time that we set it in motion to the time that we actually experience it, that's what we call a gestation period. Some things we can set into motion have a very definitive beginning and end. We know that if we start today, it's going to manifest a certain number of days, months, years from now. For example, giving birth to a baby. We know if we begin the process now or we become pregnant, that 9 months from now, there's going to be a baby. We might want a baby today, and yet there's a period of time for that to come to fruition. When we are understanding the law of detachment, or we're setting goals and intentions, for example, we don't know the gestation period for a goal or an intention. That is going to be up to the universe. We can set something in motion, and now we're going to just have to wait and sit back and see what happens. Knowing and believing and trusting that everything that we order, everything that we want to experience will absolutely come to fruition. We just have to be a little bit patient of the process. I happen to know that I require a lot of practice in this area. Most of the things I want yesterday. And I always have to remind myself that the world is not on Jeannine time. The world is on universal time. So it's up to me to be patient as I go through the process. The best that we can do when practicing this law is keeping our focus in the present moment, keeping our focus on the process or the processes that will help us to go down the path of achievement, to bring about the things that we want to achieve in our life. Ultimately, letting go of the when and the where it's going to manifest. Another important component, from my perspective, of the law of detachment is letting go of the form that it takes. If you remember yesterday, I talked about paint by number people and dot to dot people. And I said that I'm in awe of paint by number people because they know exactly what the picture is going to look like and they spend their life coloring it in. I think they have an advantage in some cases. With regard to the law of detachment, I think that dot to dot people have the advantage because when it comes to people like me who don't necessarily see things in Technicolor and don't have a visual of what everything looks like, it's more about that intrinsic value, that intrinsic experience, the things that we want to have or experience in our life. There is no form to that. It's just a very core principle. So for example, yesterday I gave the example of experiencing joy. There are so many things that could manifest to bring that about in my life. There is no form. I'm in search of that feeling, right? So when we're detached, we're letting go of the form. So when we set our goals yesterday, our goals and intentions and desires, if we gave form to it, that's what we're going to have to let go of. It's letting go of what it actually looks like when it manifests, because I have to share with you, the universe will deliver so much more than we could ever imagine in our minds. So letting go of the form that it will take, what it will look like exactly, and focusing more on the elements of what our goals and desires are bringing to us will serve us beautifully when practicing the law of detachment, because that will help us to be open to the experiences that we have and not so clingy or attached to the way that we think that they should be. When we're clingy and attached, we're holding on. And when we hold on, there's a lot of fear there. There's fear behind that, because we're afraid if we don't hold on so tight, we're going to lose something. That's not what the law of detachment is about. The law of detachment says that if we let go, all of these things will happen in its natural order. So that's where we want to give our attention and our focus today. I wish you lots of luck with practicing this law. Be gentle with yourself. If you find that you're holding on to something today, let it go. Very similar to the law of least effort, right? That we practiced earlier in the week. Just kind of go with the flow. Just because something doesn't appear to be what we wanted it to be doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to serve us beautifully in this practice. Sometimes things that don't look so good up front turn out truly to be blessings in disguise. So be detached. A way that we can know whether or not we're attached is our level of emotional engagement. If we're feeling some dissension, if we're feeling anger, if we're feeling resentment, that things are not happening the way that we want them to happen, or happening as quickly as we'd like them to happen, that is what we need to, that's going to be our key, that we're holding on, that we're attached to the outcome. We need to let it go. We need to take a deep breath. We need to remind ourselves that today, just for today, on Fridays, that we're going to let everything go and put it into the hands of the universe, knowing, believing, trusting that everything that we desire is already on its way and will reveal itself exactly when it needs to, or it's intended to reveal itself. So good luck today. I wish you all the best. I look forward to speaking with you tomorrow about tomorrow's law. Remember, it's the end of the work week. It's not the end of the spiritual practice, so be sure to tune in tomorrow for tomorrow's law is called the law of Dharma, which is the law of purpose. And that is definitely one that you want to tune in for, because that's going to kind of tie into Thursday's law as well. So until then, make today an amazing day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.